Okay, maybe now it will be better. I try to invite Nathan. Hello everyone. I hope this time it's okay. Oh, wow, cool. We're still waiting for our guest. We have to wait a moment because I have always problems with Instagram, but we have time. Oh, hi Lee again. Mm, I try to invite. Oh, hi Lee. I'm so happy you're here and that you're not sleeping. Oh, okay, maybe this time. Yeah, we've got this.
Hello. Did it work?
Hi, wait a second. I try to.
Hello, hello.
This one?
Oh, now
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, we've got
Hi.
this. How are you today?
Good. Yeah. I think it's middle of the day for me and nighttime for you.
Yeah, but hopefully my kids are on camp, so I have evening and night only for me and my wife. So it's really cool.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah, and now I can, after IOCDF conference, now I can tell that I know you in person.
Yeah. Yeah. We
That's
met.
all.
We got pictures taken. We hung
Yeah,
out.
and there was a really great time at IOCDF conference, and I feel this connection between people, and that was really amazing experience.
It's really neat because you see people that online for so many years or months, and you feel like you already know them when you see them at the conference. It's really fun.
Yeah, yeah. And today we decided to speak about something special for me, but I think it's something important for everyone because humor can help us keeping distance to our thoughts, to our disorder, and help can help us in a really specific way to cope with our disorders, our problems.
Yep. Yeah, this is perfect timing because it's something that actually the video that I have on Wednesday is all about this. That's
Yeah,
coming out. Just there's a way to talk about OCD with humor without actually, making fun of it. Yeah, making fun of the disorder.
yes, I think the humor, the memes were the first thing I did after my diagnosis because I need space only for me. Because we decided with my wife that we will not speak about OCD in our home because that was really tough for her. So I decided to make uh, I decided to make humor my superpower, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a different dialogue when, especially when people name their OCD. I don't know if some of
Yeah,
you've done that before, but yeah,
yeah.
my
That. that works really well because when you name your OCD, maybe in a funny way, we can take power from our OCD, and we can making jokes, and we can even talk with our OCD. Oh, sorry, man, not this time. Maybe wait a few hours. I will not engage with this thought this time. So this is really helpful.
Yeah. I have a friend that has OCD, and he calls it Leroy. That's the name.
Oh,
And his spouse would say, you know, who's asking? Is it you or is it Leroy? Or when she would see something, she would say, "Oh, Leroy, I see ya," and they would just laugh about it. And I think it's like just changing that dynamic of, yeah, you know, OCD is tricky, and if we can kind of call it out of just like you're ridiculous, it turns into more of a funny thing.
yeah. So I will call just people. If you want to ask questions, just ask. We will answer this question during our live stream. So it's really helpful for adults, but also for kids. I think it's a really special way to look at OCD from different perspectives.
Hmm.
Like
For sure.
yeah, like because this is so important. OCD is not me, and if I will give its name Leroy or something like that, we will see that OCD is something that coexists with us, but it's not us in general.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and you obviously create a lot of memes for OCD, and I've thought about when I've created memes, like I want to make sure that I people aren't feeling like I'm making fun of them, but I'm making light of OCD, because the more we do that, we take its power away, which can be
Yeah,
really hard.
yeah, that is really powerful. That we can, and in my example, I can create meme, and then if I feel that urge of doing compulsions or I've had really tough times, and I see that meme, it is much easier to not engage with this because, oh, this is so funny and this is not logical and this is OCD. So it's easier to understand that this is something something that that is this is a lie, our OCD, and this is a big lie. So this is really amazing that through
Hmm.
memes, if we use humor in a right way, it's something great, and we can use this as superpower.
Yeah, it tells you something too, that if the meme that you created does really well, then a lot of people resonated with what you said, and it makes sense to them, which shows you that OCD throws out the same tricks to almost everybody. Because if you created a meme and it only made sense to you, you know, it would probably be OCD. Like it, it's funny because it makes sense to everybody who
Yeah,
experiences the same type of things, and so OCD definitely follows the same pattern,
yeah,
same tricks.
and yeah, and we almost all people like humor, like laughing, and it's much easier to speak through memes, through humor to other people and help other people. But I think we have to be careful because I think humor is really good as as something that helps us in our therapy, but it also can be harmful, and if it's it can make our OCD less serious disease or something like that.
Hmm.
You know what I mean. It can
Yeah.
minimize it can minimize suffering, but we need to remember that OCD is a really tough disorder.
Yeah. It can be a compulsion for some people
Yeah,
to always use humor as a way to cope with it as well. So it's finding that balance for sure.
yeah.
Mm.
Or if for example, in my case, I educated myself first, and then I started with memes, but I still decided to educate myself because we can make, you know, now people think that any account on Instagram can be something that that every single person can do and not go to therapy. So we have to remember that therapy is the first way, and then we can use humor. We can go find any account like mine and use this as a really great weapon against OCD,
Mhm.
but needs at first point because people think that, oh, I found this Instagram account and I don't have to go to therapy.
Mhm. Definitely. Everyone is going to have different thoughts and opinions, and I've gotten out of the idea of like there's only one right way to do it. Working with OCD for, I don't know, 13 or so years, I've run into different people who say you cannot use humor at all. Other people say you need to feel extreme anxiety to get better at all
Mm,
times. You can't smile while you're doing an exposure. Just different opinions, different thoughts. And really, what I found is like whatever works for you works for you. So how can you retrain your brain to
yeah.
um, yeah, retrain your brain to say that you're sending me these false alarms and this is my response back to you, or I don't give you a response, or I don't like humor because it's more of a compulsion for me. So then you know that's not something that you use, and uh, yeah, there isn't that one right way. You do what works for you, but anxiety is that component that most people are going to be
Mm,
feeling, and we don't using humor to get rid of the anxiety. Um,
yeah.
we use it to teach our brain something different.
Yeah, agree.
Mm.
But as you said, using humor can be a compulsion that because everything can be a compulsion when we speak about OCD. So
Mhm.
I know that I need to be careful because when I started educating myself, I I catch myself that I was reading books compulsively.
Mm.
And at the really first point when I started doing memes, I've had the really huge urge to share my memes every single day, or three times a day, and was it was a compulsion, I think.
Mhm. It's it's tough to catch because
Uh,
I ask people what's your reasoning for using it right now? I often say like, what's the function? WTF? Uh, am I doing it to just feel better? Am I using it to make light of the situation? Um, Often I'm in my office right now where I see clients, and I'll catch myself with certain people. We'll just start using humor. We'll start doing jokes, and we find both of us will catch it. It's so easy to go into, and we'll say, "Ah, we're getting
yeah.
away from what we need to be doing." Um,
Mm,
it's easy to not talk about OCD and the treatment, and
yeah.
to just make jokes. Um, and I like what someone said here in the comments. Like, I don't remember exactly. Therapy comes first, humor comes second,
Yeah.
maybe something like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I think that's definitely the important piece of like, let's get really good at using exposure and response prevention is what I use,
Absolutely.
and and figure out responses. So, because I think that's the part people often miss is I'm going to choose an action or I'm going to do something over and over and over and over again, um, and then come up with some type of response, whether it's a maybe, maybe not, or it's a
Mm,
I hope this thing gets me sick, or yeah, whatever it is. I hope or I love, this
yeah.
is great, and I don't actually have to believe it, but I think someone else made a comment here, just like I don't know if there's a way for me to see him back in the thing, but uh, say psychologically or what happens in the brain when you're using humor. And I think what I've learned is like, can I just say this thing is so ridiculous that I just, I use this example of, I don't know if people like fast cars and like really loud cars. I'm not really that kind of person, but you see those people that you're at a red light or whatever, and they're just like blaring their car like, and I think to myself, like, they probably think they're really, really cool. Maybe. And if I looked over at him and I was just like, "Oh man, you were so cool, and can I get your number? And I want to talk to you, and like, how can I take a picture
Mm,
with you? And you're amazing." Then like, that wouldn't be a very nice thing to do, but I'm taking their value away by saying you think you're cool and valuable, but I've taken all that power away from you. Um, I wouldn't do that to somebody, but I think of that with OCD. It's just like you're making this sound like it's so important and so valuable. And if I just kind of like laugh at what you're saying and say, "Oh yeah, cool, I love it. Thanks for that thought,"
mm,
then it doesn't like it. The OCD, it's saying, "Wait a second, I'm saying you're in danger, but if you're not acting like you're in danger, then maybe something else is happening." So you are retraining it in a way
yeah.
to say, if you're laughing at this, maybe this actually isn't dangerous. But I'm not sure yet, so I'm just going to keep reminding you for a while until I get it. And so that's why we keep going with it and saying, let me expose myself to this thing and use some responses that take all the power away from it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely agree. I think using humor can retrain our brain as exposure and response prevention, and we can show our brain that this situation is not dangerous, or we can laugh at this moment, but we can also feel so anxious inside,
Mhm.
or we can have really tough, really hard feelings or emotions, but we can teach our brain that these emotions, these feelings are not dangerous for us.
Yeah. Well, and the only way to know that is to you're testing it out and say, well, let's
Yeah,
see. Let's see how
yeah,
dangerous this is. And most of the time when things don't happen, because I say most of the time because we don't know 100%,
yeah,
the brain's learning from that and saying, look, you're fine. Look, you're fine. Um,
yeah,
and we're not trying to convince ourselves of that, but the brain learns that by experiencing it. And so
yeah. It's it's
we
it's
can't
so
just you.
help it's so helpful, especially if we are aware that using humor is not avoidance or something like that. Because we can probably I can create memes to avoid some situations,
Mhm.
or and I'm aware of that, and it's a really thin line because OCD is so sneaky, and yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever tried using humor within an actual exposure, but sometimes that can be helpful as
Yeah,
well, where you're
yeah,
taking everyone's different, but I have like a voice changer and people will say their intrusive thoughts in the voice changer and it just like we just bust up laughing, um, because it just
yeah,
sounds so ridiculous. Or
Yeah, my friends sometimes using humor this way as exposure for me. For example, if my OCD is trying to convince me that something bad is happening when my wife is on business trip on somewhere there, and my friend told me, oh, maybe she has there a really huge orgy or something like that, you
yeah,
know. And it's,
yeah,
oh yeah, probably, maybe, maybe not.
uh-huh,
But but
yeah,
at this moment it is so funny, but also I feel so anxious because
hmm
this type of humor, I really like this type of humor, but hits so hard.
it it is because it's easy to laugh, but inside people might be screaming with anxiety, and hopefully it's knowing what to do with that. And that's definitely where that treatment comes in of let me not try to figure this out. Uh, or yeah, I don't need to figure this out anymore. It's just let me have the thoughts, and I don't even need to use humor with it, but I'm just gonna let the thoughts be there and like, cool, I guess maybe they are doing that. You know, maybe this will
Yeah.
happen. I don't know. Maybe we'll go to a Coldplay concert and get caught. I don't know. I don't know if you heard about that in the States, but um, but yeah,
Yeah.
anything's possible. Um, there's so many different ways to. I wouldn't say 100% of the time we want to use humor, but when people are struggling to do an exposure, that's where I might say let's try it this way first. We're gonna write a
Yeah.
script
It's much
about
easier to, yeah. Sorry.
yeah,
Keep going.
just about your situation, about your fear happening, and we're gonna put it into AI and have it make a song for us, and we're gonna dance to it about how you hit somebody while you were driving, and the police came
Yeah.
to arrest you, and whatever it is, and when it's in a song, then you're just like, and you're dancing to it, and you're smiling, and you're laughing, like it's different. Um,
Yeah.
and then hopefully we get to the point where we're like, okay, now let's read it without the song and respond differently to it.
Yeah, and I think it's much easier to start when we are laughing, when those exposures are not so hard, because it's really hard to laugh when we are so anxious, you know?
Hmm.
It's hard to use humor when you are so depressed, you are anxious, and really hard to trigger hit. But if we start at the beginning, one step at the time, we can teach our brain, our body how to react, how to not react to those thoughts, and how to use humor wisely.
Yeah, I I love that because it's if people can plan ahead of here are my exposures that I'm doing, instead of it just being on a whim. That can be great, but I I'm gonna go touch this thing. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna read this script. I'm going on this elevator. I'm gonna go put my head on the window. Maybe I'll fall out, or whatever the fear
Yeah,
is. Notice my breathing on purpose 50 times a day just because. Um, then there's room for humor because you've planned for it. In some of those instances, like I
yeah.
hope I fall out this window. That would be really fun. I hope people find me and like um maybe I did it on
I'm
purpose. Yeah, it's just yeah.
I'm a Spider-Man.
Yeah, yeah. It it's scary when you're in the moment for sure.
Mm,
But s- for me, I'm pretty structured how I do things is like we write out an action. We even write out what the humor is going to be so we don't deviate from that. What compulsions people are going to practice not doing, and then how are we going to practice it? When are we going to do it? So that yeah, we've planned for it instead of it being a compulsion to always get out of anxiety. It's just let's make light of
yeah,
the situation and be like, "Ooh, I'm gonna fall. I'm so scared." At the
yeah,
OCD conference, I was at the top floor. I think it was floor 38, and I think it's natural to get intrusive thoughts. Like I'm standing there at the window, like full window, and I'm looking down and I'm like, I could totally just break this glass and
Yeah,
jump out.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I feel those urges and sensations. And because I even had that thought standing there, I'm just like, man, I sure hope I do. Hope I just like lose control and just like ram into this window. That'd be so great if I did that. And wow, be so fun
yeah.
if like I just was got to fly for a little bit. That'd be really fun.
You
Um,
know, in
and yeah,
the hotel, these windows, I think, were so thin, and I had a thought: if I just run through it, I can fly away.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's like have the thoughts, but like we don't always need to do something about them too. We could just have the thought. I chose to use humor, but I can also just sit there and just like look down and be like, okay, you know, cool. I could use
Yeah,
a maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't, but I'm not going to leave that spot until I feel confident enough that, my anxiety maybe has dropped a little bit and I just kind of don't care about the situation. Um, and
yeah,
each person kind of creates their own rules on how they're going to do that.
yeah, and it's so amazing because we can use humor for ourselves at this moment, at a really hard moment, but we can also show others, our families, in this way what really OCD is, and we can educate through humor. Because when I started doing memes and I told my friends that I have OCD, they told me, Lucas, through your memes, we know now what you're going through.
Mhm. It's
It's much
true.
easier for people without OCD. It's much easier to understand than give them a book about OCD or something like that.
Mm. Yeah. These really quick memes
Yeah,
explaining it are super helpful. Mm. Yeah. Well, I know there's a few questions. I don't know if you can see them on
yeah.
your end, but
What's you guys take on medication for OCD?
I love it. But at the same time, yeah, you have to talk to your prescriber and make sure
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
something that's for you. But just my own experience working with clients, not everybody takes it, but if somebody's not doing exposures, they really can you still hear me?
Yeah. Now
Oh,
I.
no. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I think I did a thumbs up and then I like my thing said, "Oh, you're about to do a yeah, a
yeah,
gesture or
yeah.
something." But really what I think it comes down to is like it can actually make it to a point where maybe somebody's like I've got this SUD score here, 0 to 10. Someone could be at an 8 and it brings them down to a 6 or a 5, where
Hmm.
they're more likely to do the exposure they feel like they could never do before. Or I've had some people where we've created whole hierarchies and then they started medication and they were like, none of this stuff really bothers me right now. Um, or it's so much easier than I thought. Uh, but there's also others who don't take anything and they're doing great too. And so I think my
Yeah, that
indication for people is like, if
that
you're
depends
struggling,
because
okay.
there are so many individuals and so many different situations. So often it's not only OCD, it's eating disorder, bipolar, and
Mm,
it's not so easy to tell, oh, take sertraline or take something else. It's not like this.
yeah, it takes a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
Sometimes one works well, and sometimes people say I hate it. Gives me brain fog, and I don't like it. But I had a psychiatrist tell me once, he's like, the people that come in who tell me about all their side effects are the ones who are researching all of them and can't stop researching, can't stop.
Hmm.
He's like,
Yeah.
they're almost producing. side effects that maybe they wouldn't have had. I don't know how accurate that is, but that was his own perception. Um, but I think if somebody's struggling and they are having a hard time doing treatment, that might be a time to do it, just to bring a little bit of motivation. But yeah, you always got to talk to a prescriber for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So next question, what about with health anxiety? I find figuring out plant exposures for that super hard.
I look at the the core. What am I actually worried about?
Yeah.
Um, is it about, people say, oh, I'm worried about getting cancer, for example. Um, but it's not really about cancer. They're focusing on the surface level. It's about what happens if I get cancer. Um, well, then I'll get sick. I'll lose my job. What happens if you lose your job? Like my spouse will be disappointed in me and won't be able to provide. Well, what happens if you can't provide? And we just keep going down the line till you can't think of anything else. Does it go down to death? Does it go down to
Mm,
what's going to happen after this life? So a lot of people do exposures, to cancer or whatever the health thing is. But really, we're just using that as a catalyst to be more uncertain about what the core is,
mm,
which if it's death, then let's do exposures based off of, I've had people create their own eulogies, have funerals for themselves. What
yeah.
would I say at my own funeral? Um, Health is sometimes tricky because when do we know when to go to a doctor or not? And sometimes we're going to miss something. I think that's just part of life is like
Mm,
maybe it's too late, maybe it's not. But if I'm feeling anxious, it might not be a time for me to research this thing. Um, it should be more of an inquisitive, oh, like what is
yeah.
this on my arm? Oh, I don't know. Huh. Okay. It's
Yeah.
just a thought. Like maybe I should schedule something. Um,
I think with experience and with time, it's much easier to see if that is something because of our OCD or not. It's much easier
Mhm.
when we are aware, when we have this feeling inside. I probably in 80% situations I'm 100% sure this is OCD or not because I feel this.
Mhm.
Today I asked my friend for something, and at this moment I told her, "Don't answer," because this question was question for reassurance.
Mm. So you can catch it pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's it's tricky. I usually people with health anxiety, most of the time they kind of fear about the same thing, whether it's blood or it's cancer or it's heart related or whatever it is. And we kind of just say, if I had someone in my office, we'd say, if you're thinking about your heart and you have anxiety, we're just gonna assume everything is fine, maybe. Like, we're not going down the road, you're not researching, because people aren't thinking about that 50 times a day with anxiety every single day. Um, it should be more of an inquisitive thing. I'm just
yeah,
curious. Like when I had some heart issues and I started having AFib. My watch was saying, "Hey,
mm,
you're in atrial
yeah,
fibrillation," and it was like, you know, day after day. It's like, "Oh, you're still in that," and I'm like, should I go to the doctor? And my wife's like, "Nah, I don't know, just wait it out." And I just waited a little bit, and then it just got a little bit worse. And eventually, I went in, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you have SVT is what it's called, and you need to get an
yeah,
ablation for it." And so it's like I didn't immediately have to go. I could have, it could have gotten worse. I don't know, but it wasn't anxiety. It was just there's a problem. It's not too sure. I guess I'll see a doctor.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
it was almost like a hassle for me to want to go see it instead of like, I have to go. And
Mm.
that's kind of what I'd want it to be. It's like, this is more of a hassle. I don't want to do this appointment. And yeah,
Yeah,
but,
yeah, for sure, yeah. And probably when we have such a thought about our health, so, oh wow, maybe tomorrow I will die or something like that. Let's make a party today, last party in my life or something like that. Let's
mhm,
let's try to stay present at this moment because when we have a really high anxiety level, it's so hard to think in a logical way. We started have problems with breathing. We started stress, and it's so easy to engage with compulsions in this time.
mhm. Yeah.
So for me also works. Humor works perfect, but also take a few deep breaths and
Mhm,
just calm down. And now we can think what we can do when we are a bit less anxious.
mhm. It, I like that you brought back to humor because that's one of those things that I don't know. I use a lot of hope so's. I hope so, especially when it
Yeah,
comes to like health stuff. And it's just like sounds ridiculous and it sounds like I shouldn't be saying that, but it's a really quick way to just like, oh, you have, heart issues. And like, I hope so. Oh, you're gonna miss if you don't see the doctor, you're gonna miss it and you're gonna regret it. Like, yeah, I hope so. And it's
yeah,
like, of course,
yeah. I like
I
it.
don't hope so, but um, bringing it back to the conference, I shared this in the talk that I had. You were there actually. Um, before I got
Yeah,
up to speak, my watch told me that
yeah,
my heart was above 120 for over 10 minutes of just sitting.
yeah. You
Um,
told me about this. Yes, I
yeah, yeah.
remember.
And I took a picture of it. But I was sitting there in that moment. I'm like, great. Is this coming back? Am I doing this again? And I told myself in that moment, like, I hope so. Hope it's coming back. Even a real situation that I had that might cause a little bit of anxiety later, I'm just like, I hope so. It's like it's not bringing this bad juju in the world of like, great, now I said it, so it's going to happen. I think a lot of people get worried about that.
Yeah.
Um, but if that were the case, then why do the positive things not work? Why am I not saying, man, I hope I have $1 million when I get home today, just sitting on my porch. I hope so. Hope I have $1 million sitting on my porch. Like, why
Mm.
is that not working? If we're gonna say the
Yeah, yeah,
negative work,
yeah,
always gonna work. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I think it's so important to find our own way to use humor because we are different, and I really like this way. I hope so. It's a small thing, but it can make a huge difference.
Yeah. And I think an important thing to know is, using phrases like that, like that's not that's not the exposure. As I think a lot of people get stuck in that of
Mm.
I said the phrases and it's not working. And I was like, well, that's not the point. Um, the point is I need to do something. I need to expose myself to this thing. So maybe I'm using the I hope so, and now let me go do an exposure with it. So I'm not just saying the phrase and then moving on. Like, how can I actually be in this moment and feel all the feelings I need to feel um, and yeah, make it more
Mm.
meaningful instead of just a phrase.
Uh, okay, I try to find just a question. I fail to be consistent. How to stay consistent without losing hope?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, it's tough finding support groups or sometimes those are tricky, but finding someone that you can say, I've planned this exposure at 12 o'clock today. I'm going to text you when I do it. I have
Mm.
even my own clients who say, I'm going to text you. when I do this exposure, I'm going to text you when I'm done. And that's enough for them to stay motivated to keep doing it. When you know somebody's watching you, cheering you on, it's easier to do. I have people put it in their calendars, how they're going to do exposures, like literally write it out. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I'm riding the bus. I'm going to do this. 4 o'clock, I'm walking to the bathroom. I'm going to wash my hands really poorly. Like whatever it is, you're planning out things that are already in your life. And yeah, you want to make it happen because you've planned it. Where a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people tend to fall is they just say, "Oh yeah, I need to do an exposure," but then they don't do it because they haven't
Mm-hmm.
planned it. They don't know what they're doing. And um, staying hopeful means like even just one little thing I'm doing every single day, just one little thing, and that will make a difference. Mm.
Yeah. Uh, some light on harm OCD. I think using humor when we speak about harm OCD can be also really helpful because we can use just knife and as Tracy uses knife on our live stream, she takes knife and you know it's a really huge exposure for someone, but it can be much easier to cope with harm OCD when we use humor, and we know that you know we will do this, and
Mhm.
this is not something really hard to do when we speak about mm, someone who really wants to do this. It's not hard to push someone uh, down the stairs or something like that. But OCD thoughts are ego dystonic. So if we know that, using humor really helps to look at these thoughts from different perspectives. Here we have our thoughts, and we look at this in different way using humor.
Mhm. Yeah, harm OCD. I think it's people see their theme and they're like, "Well, I can't use any of this advice for harm OCD. I can't do
Mm-hmm.
it for these other themes." Um, but we can. It just I one phrase I really like as well is like totally, especially when it's harm OCD. Of like, the other day I'm holding some scissors in my hand, like these things are sharp, and my kids just run right next to me, and it's like you could totally just like blah. And
Mm-hmm.
in my brain it's like, yeah, totally. Like it's just my response, like
Yeah.
totally could. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm accepting like, yeah, anything's possible. Um, and I've had some people even put like googly eyes on like knives that they're doing exposures with, or like draw a mustache on it, or something that it just like turns into something silly, and like engage with it, be with it, um, and not think that like, oh, my theme's different. I can't do this stuff with
Yeah.
my theme.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mm.
know. I know. This is hard because really, really, team is the hardest team for someone who's struggling with this, and it's really hard because although so many times people wrote me message, oh, I hope I will take your error CD and I will give you my Hermal CD.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's
OCD is
it's hard.
OCD.
OCD is OCD, right?
Yeah, it's easy to say, but I also understand that like it feels so real to the
Mm-hmm.
person experiencing it. Um, and that's the whole point of the exposure therapy and using humor is like, let's let it feel real, but respond differently. Respond essentially as if you just kind of don't care about it, and
Mm-hmm.
let your brain learn that, like, you're saying there's a big bear in front of me. Okay, look, nothing happened. The bear didn't get me that you said was there. And let's have that experience over and over and over and over. And then it doesn't feel as real because you've trained your brain to say this is actually a false alarm instead of trying to convince it through words or a compulsion. Um, yeah, exposure is the way.
Yeah. Uh, okay, we have some funny comments here. Especially triggers my OCD. It's a great exposure for me. I know. Mm. So I think that also that this is the point we should tell out loud, that using humor is really helpful, but we have to be careful because we have to we can using humor for 1 month, 2 months, or for a long time, but we can't forget about need to look for seeking for help, for professional help, because you know humor can be helpful, but humor is not exposure and response prevention therapy, or CBT or professional help. And someone
Mhm.
can use humor day by day, and probably they can feel better. But OCD is still there without ERP or without any other therapies. It's it's really hard uh, to get better, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the important piece of making sure the exposure is there, not just the statement, but
Mm,
how can I be in this moment, be with the words that came to my mind. Um, how, yeah, do I need to keep touching this thing that's making me nervous, or notice my breathing, or but yeah, whatever it is. But let me keep doing that. Um, and if humor's too comfortable, then maybe I need to
mm,
stop using humor, because I'm just
yeah.
doing it to actually get out of anxiety a little bit.
Mm.
Mm.
But this type of humor, this conversation between OCD and me, oh, fuck off, not this time. I will not feed you this time because I'm hungry. I have to go for a dinner with my family. You can be hungry for next 2 days or 2 weeks or something like that. It's really helpful.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah. I I use it with my own kids, just with anxiety. Um, where my daughter will go up on stage to dance and be like, I hope you break a leg while you're up there. I'm like, no, like seriously, I hope you break a leg while you and she knows exactly what I'm doing. Like we just like laugh about it. Um, and it just takes all that tension away from it's usually the
Mm,
anticipation of doing something that is harder than sometimes
yeah,
the whatever the thing is. And um yeah,
yeah.
just letting life be and
You know, I have at this moment, I have intrusive thought that what if no one in this life will understand me because of my English, you know? And my response is, fuck it. I didn't understand what you're talking about for the whole life. And oh,
yeah.
yeah. And this
Yeah.
type of conversation, it can make a really huge difference,
Yeah.
because we can
So
laugh
that
at this time. Some, I think, I hope some hormones are in our brain thanks to laughing, and yeah,
yeah. So I would take something like that and say, I sure hope no one understands what I'm
yeah,
saying. And And on purpose, maybe I'll say a bunch of gibberish, so they have to question what I'm saying on purpose. And that would be my exposure. Is make sure I throw in a bunch of things that don't make any sense at all. Um, and yeah, I keep hoping that they don't understand me. That'd be really great. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So we we hope that no one understands us, and 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 yeah, this was such an amazing conversation with you.
Mhm.
I think, or maybe not. My wife is probably back, but I really want to tell you that I'm glad I met you in Chicago, and that finally we can speak about using humor, because it's something that can really help educate people, and also can help with in our journey
Yeah.
to
Thank
better
you.
life.
You do such great work
I'm
in what
trying.
you're doing, and
I'm trying. I'm trying.
yeah, I mean, even though people can't understand you, like you're doing great work. Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the exposure piece.
I know I'm doing great work. You don't have to reassure me about that, because now
Yeah,
I really know that, and I'm
yeah,
happy I can help others, and I can help myself too, because it's so helpful for me.
yeah, for sure. And for how many people that reach out to me like, "Oh, did you see this meme? Did you see this?" Like, it just shows how amazing I don't know, the community is. And so,
Yeah, yeah. It's so amazing. And when I create, and I think this meme is really fun and really good. And I mention you and some other people, and I have a thought. Oh wow, maybe they will think that I spam with those memes, but then oh fuck it, my memes are so amazing, and I know it, and mm,
yeah, you do what's valuable for you. And I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's what's important.
yeah.
Mm.
And also Zach memes, obsessively compulsive memes are really great. Zach is here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
love you, Zach.
well,
So
yeah. Thanks for having me on here to talk about this stuff.
yeah, thank you so much, and see you next time.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much.
Have a nice day.
Bye bye. Yeah.